everyone. Welcome to Podsauce, your podcast discovery show. I am Alesha Renee.
And I'm Dax Holt. And podcast discovery. I
covered it this time.
I know,
I
but
was good.
I have a really exciting story that I want to tell you.
Okay.
On podcast discovery. I was on the plane yesterday. Mm-hmm. The guy next to me sees me open my app, the Odyssey app, obviously.
Of course.
And he's like, hey, do you have any good podcasts you want to recommend? I was like, let me tell you.
Mommy, you should ask, sir.
Sir, it's kind of what I do.
It's what it do.
And I told him all about our show, and he was like, that's amazing. Like, I'm into this. And then I started giving him all these recommendations, not just like our recommendations,
right,
but like our previous guests' recommendations.
Look at you out here doing
I was
God's
just
job.
giving out recommendations left and right.
Making him proud out here.
And he was this is great. This is great. Thank you. Like, I've been looking for podcasts.
Did you watch him download it on his phone just to make sure he wasn't selling you a wolf ticket? Because I would have.
I actually grabbed the phone and I downloaded
Absolutely.
it. I was like,
1,000%.
and Podsauce.
You're not going to get me excited.
And this.
Yo, speaking of, like, today we have a full show, but I don't know about you. Okay, so this is a podcast discovery show, so we're not always knowledgeable of the people who are coming on our show, right? Because
we're learning about them like you guys are.
Together. We're a unit. And by we, I mean, obviously just me and Dax. You guys are on your own. But when I heard that we have the people from the Boo Crew coming, I was like, the Boo Crew, what is it?
I had never heard of it before.
But so I go on, I do my Googles, as we do, as any good host. I was like, wait, horror? We're talking about horror stuff?
But like
spooky,
satanic spirits.
Listen, to know me is to know Mama doesn't play about the spirit world. Oh, no, I have, like, you come over to my home, like, I have my doorstep, like, blessed with sage and holy oil. Like, I'm that person. I have a crucifix on today. Specifically,
I wore smiley socks to keep them demons away. I'll smile you away out of here.
I keep the demons away. You're gonna kick the demon in the face.
Keep the demons with some happiness.
Keeping the demons away with happiness and crucifixes will do the job. So yeah, we got the people from the Boo Crew coming up, and I'm excited about them, kinda.
Well, here's the thing. So I listened to an episode and I was instantly like into it.
Which one was? Because you're a scaredy cat like me. Which one was it?
I was like, demons? Nope. Like seance? Nope. I got down to the one. It was the Saw director.
Oh, me too.
You listened to that one too?
Yes.
How did I pick the same one?
Because I did the same process of elimination you did.
But he was great.
The devil is a liar. Not doing that one. You know, I just kicked somebody out of my life that was possessed and get them out of there.
But I was instantly like sucked into the podcast. I really liked it. So I'm excited to talk to him. Mm-hmm. We got other great podcast hosts coming on.
I just found it very beautiful that you and I both found the commonality, and we were like, you know what we're not here for?
Demons.
Collectively. Nope. We don't want any demons on our back.
You know what? I'm excited to talk to him because I want to know how like you live your life surrounded by that, and like that is your normal.
Yeah.
Like that freaks me out to think like, do you live in that? Is that your atmosphere that you live in?
Right. But also, I'm very curious when you spend so much of your time like in the dark, like what makes you happy. So I'm curious to see if he has any podcasts that he listens to that puts a smile on his face, because I've kind of been in this wonky space as of late. And so I started putting on, and this isn't going to be one of my podcast picks, guys, you know, so just walk along with me. I do have a good one for you later on today, our good faithful audience. But I started playing Joel Osteen because I felt like I just needed some inspiration. Joel Osteen has a podcast out, so I was listening. I was like, yes, Joel, preach the word. And he's not even my pastor, but I just needed good energy. So I'm very curious to talk to Trevor. We have Trevor Shand. Trevor Shand, my bad. Well, it was a shh. So I was in the same bubble.
That was a demon trying to get your that name wrong.
Trevor Shand. What?
What was
Don't try to play that off. What did you say?
Shand? Are we saying his name right?
I'm saying his name right. And his name is definitely Trevor
Shand.
Shand. Yeah, you got me looking at my cards like I'm bugging. Trevor Shand.
Freaking demons all up in this place trying to mess with us.
Stop talking about freaking demons. Like I gotta leave here and go home by myself to my four walls. At least you have a wife and kids. The demon has options, okay? It's just me.
So
Okay.
Just taking you down by yourself.
There's options.
So
over
I did
there.
have one podcast I was going to tell you about, just to throw it out there because it's also not my pick.
Okay.
But I thought it was a funny episode. It was an interesting episode.
What?
But I didn't want to spend like my 5 minutes talking about
Fair.
Tiger Belly. Have
What?
you ever? But don't look at me like that's crazy.
You looked at me with tiger belly and then you leaned in like I'm supposed to know what a tiger's belly is.
So it's Bobby Lee, who's a comedian.
Okay.
And he's got this podcast, but he brings on other comedians. And he had Anthony Jeselnik on, who very like dry comedy, really funny
Oh,
dude.
I'm good for dry, witty humor.
But what I like is, so Anthony does not give a crap. Like he is
About anything?
He doesn't do podcasts. He doesn't do. So for him to come on a podcast was like, ooh, this is exciting. But they talked all about the life of a comedian and like what it takes to prepare, the like crap that goes on like before they go on to stage, and how another comedian before them will screw them over and go up and talk for 10 minutes when they were only supposed to talk for 5, and so now it's cut into their time. And just all the drama and politics behind comedy. And I really thought it was fascinating. And
Send me
never,
that episode.
And I've never like heard that side of it because I'm not a comedian and I don't know that
you're
world.
Not funny, no.
But
No. Continue.
But I thought it was like a really cool look into the comedy world.
Yeah.
And so again, I haven't listened to more than that episode, so I can't recommend the podcast as a whole. But I thought it was really interesting.
Good, though. You've been pretty good. More specifically, when you say, "Oh, Leash, listen to this episode," you haven't steered me wrong. So send me that one. I do want to check that out. But anywho, as we were saying, we got plenty coming up on the show today. It's a booked and busy show. Get your crucifixes out. Get your holy water. Have that on deck. Maybe some holy oil, because we have that and so much more coming up. Guys. So
We'll be right back.
Podsauce Host Picks, brought to you by Macy's.
Welcome back, everyone, to Podsauce. I am Alesha Renee.
And I'm Dax Holt, and we are going to get into our picks of the week. So I'm going to have you start off.
I am, because ladies first and stuff.
Ladies first and stuff. Plus, this is honestly probably one of my favorite parts of our show.
Really?
I truly enjoy like what you've listened to this week, what you have to recommend.
Factorious with Matt Iseman. I didn't know his name, so I actually had to look him up. But
This is the guy from American Ninja Warrior, right?
Factorious. It's literally a game show. That's it. They ask you questions. You think you know, but you have no idea. And it's fun.
That's cool.
So it's just a really good time.
That sounds like a fun, just extra thing to listen to.
I think
like that.
so. Yeah, because I mean, sometimes I don't want to hear anyone talk.
As you look at me and say that.
Well, look at
literally
me.
dead stare in my eyes.
All
I don't
this
want to hear
brown-
people talk.
No, I'm talking. Oh, Dax. You just want to be abused so bad. I treat you good. I buy you socks and stuff, and you're just determined to make it seem like I don't treat you right. But no, so Factorious, holding court with Ebony K. Williams. Last but definitely not least, OPRAH'S Masterclass. I've really been diving into that just because I'm really enamored with the journey of your favorite celebrity's favorite celebrity. And the ups and downs, the pitfalls, the trajectories, the hopes, the dreams dashed. I think that there's a lot to be learned from people who have traveled the paths that you hope to.
Yeah.
And
Do you have a favorite episode of that? Like a favorite star that was on there?
actually, and it's so weird, but Oprah did Oprah, and I was here
What?
for it. Yeah, Oprah did Oprah.
Did she like actually ask a question and then like come to the other side and
she
answer the question?
She should have had us there since we are Oprah adjacent. I mean, we would have helped her out. How dare she not ask us? But no, she actually covered herself in 2 episodes.
Oh, she got a double episode.
Wouldn't she?
It's Oprah.
Should she not? I mean, did you dispute that?
Please tell me how this went down though.
I mean, I haven't listened to episode 2. I've only listened to episode 1 because then I got busy with something else. But I mean, just Oprah's talked about her trajectory a lot. But for me, as someone who also has been abused, and I have had a journey in life, I grew up wanting to be. She was the first publicly and widely Black image that I grew up seeing. And to see someone so powerful and resolute with features that looked like mine, that has suffered a lot of the things that I suffered, you know, as a young girl, and not only survive, but thrive. I mean, there literally is still an Oprah effect named after her. So all things Oprah, I'm always here for. So just hearing her story and hearing her champion for herself and get around her stumbling blocks, I mean, how could you not want to take a class from the master herself? So Oprah's Masterclass with Oprah doing Oprah.
Cool. I like it. Those are some good ones.
I thought so too.
Well, those were Alesha's podcast picks of the week, brought to you by Macy's. So we will be right back.
Welcome back, guys, to Podsauce. I am so excited about our next guest, mainly because I've got lots of questions. I'm sure they have answers. I want you guys to join me in welcoming to the show Shayna, Ferm, and Tracey T of the Band of Mothers podcast. What's up, Booze?
Hello.
Hello.
Top of the day.
Hello.
Top
Thanks for
of the
having us.
day.
Top of the day.
Yeah, thank you for. I'm excited. I don't think I even told you, but my wife has actually been to their live shows.
Are you serious?
Yeah, with all of her mom friends, they like made a whole night of it. Went out, got drunk, got away from the kids, left me with the disaster at home.
It's a gang.
So
Yes.
my wife came home and she thought you guys were hilarious. So the Pump and Dump
Aw,
Show
I
is the name of
love
your guys'
that.
live show that you started, what, 5 years ago or something?
9 years ago.
9 years ago. Well, I guess quarantine sucks up too, so I think we're good.
That's
about right.
That's absolutely true. Yeah. We're actually we're just back where we started. We feel like we just start over. Yeah. So we both had tiny babies. I just had my son. He was like 4 weeks old when we had our very first show. That was just at a bar here in Denver because we needed a night out. And then we started touring a couple years later because of the success of the show, and it grew and grew and grew. And then we started a podcast, and we have a whole Band of Mothers brand now. It just kind of organically
Grew.
Did you both come from the comedy space, and then is that because I know we were talking before the show started going. That's where you get all the good tea and all the
All the good
exclusive,
stuff.
the stuff that hopefully one day we'll be able to put on the blooper reel. But you used to live in LA, so you, Tracey, more
Yes.
specifically,
Yeah,
you lived
Tracey.
in
I'm
LA.
Tracey. Yeah, I used to live in LA. I was there. I studied with the Groundlings, did the acting thing.
Yes,
and then eventually
Groundlings.
started my own. I know. Did a lot of freelance writing. Yeah, but we both have theater degrees and acting experience and all that stuff. And it really just took having babies to get us to a place where we could perform every week. So
yeah.
What was the
I
point that
doing
made you
stand-up
be-
in New York?
I'm sorry.
I was doing stand-up in New York for 15 years and then had a baby there and was like, gotta go.
yeah.
And moved to Denver, had another baby, and then ended up doing comedy again.
Yeah,
So-
why Denver, by the way, which is my hometown? I just found out that you guys live there. I'm like, that's awesome. But why Denver? If you guys lived in big cities, did you just want to get away from it all and raise kids out there where it snows and you have to shovel out of the driveway and I don't miss it?
Well, so I was, we were in LA for about 7 years, and I was walking to Trader Joe's right on La Brea and 3rd, and I started like grumbling at cars that were driving by me. And I thought, I got to get out of the city. I'm turning into like LA crazy. And then a couple weeks later, I was pulling into the same Trader Joe's in my car, and a man spit on me over a parking lot or over a parking spot. And I was like, I think we need to move back to Denver. This is not good.
I'm just used to it now.
Right,
I'm like,
it's a
I
regular
mean, that's
Tuesday.
just part of getting
Regular
parking spots.
Tuesday.
Thank you for paying attention to me.
Right.
Yeah,
And top of the morning to you, sir.
exactly.
I do want to say, I listened to, I think it was episode, I don't remember which episode. It was the one that you guys were talking about, the scary births, having sex at 9 months pregnant. That was the one that caught my attention. What do you want from me? But it was a good episode. I think that I think there's so much comedy in parenthood, and I think that some of these topics that are not always easy to talk about, but like everyone's going through them, you guys make into really interesting content. And I think that's
you.
probably
Yeah,
why
I mean,
you have mothers
started-
flocking to it.
Oh, sorry.
No, I was
Yeah,
just
we
saying I think
started
that's
our-
why mothers are flocking to your content, because everyone can relate to it.
yeah, we try. I mean, we never position ourselves to be parenting experts because we're not. And there's plenty of those out there already. We're not mommy influencers. We're just two women trying to navigate the life of being a mom. Our live show was really about what Shayna said, sort of laughing at all the things we have in common as parents, because it's totally messed up and ridiculous. And that's what the Pump and Up show is about. And so we kind of wanted to continue that conversation on the Bandit Mothers podcast, but more of looking at what life is like through the lens of being a mom. Because again, there's so many shows and so many podcasts out there that focus on parenting and what you should do and what you shouldn't do, or all that stuff. And that's great. But for us, we just realized that nothing in your life is the same once you have a baby. You look at everything different. You look at going to the grocery store different. You look at having sex different. You look at going on vacation different. It's all through the lens of being a mom. And so that's what we try to integrate in our topics of our show. And that allows us to talk about everything, but through a different lens.
Well, I think your show is beautiful, especially someone, like I said, who's mom adjacent, in that, you know, when we come across podcasts that I don't know yet. I mean, I'm not a mother yet.
Right.
Even with, you know, knowing how huge your podcast is. I listened to the one with Glow Maven. That's how we know. And it was such a phenomenal episode. And
Right?
hearing your voice, I now know this was Shayna, who was sharing the story of her son, who's like giving her these romantic love down kisses. And I was like, yes, what is that about? Because my godson does that. My other best friend, he walks up to you. First of all, he's a Sour Patch Kid, so you don't know if you're gonna get punched in the face or if that's your turn in time to get kissed on.
Yeah.
But I found myself being like, yes, like, what is that about? That part. And then when you were speaking about how to be a village, because I'm the village to a few of my girlfriends. And again, I don't know what exactly a mother needs. She just, one of my girlfriends in particular, she just flew in from out of town and she was clearly tired. And I was like, well, I'll watch your kids so you can go take a shower. So
And that's a saint move right there when you have a newborn.
that's what she said. She was like, how did you know? So,
Well, I'll tell you what every mother needs. Every mother needs a wife, period. So
Fair.
if you can fill that role, you are really helping humanity in big ways, because
I'm here to be
that's what
hired.
every mom needs, is just another wife.
I'm hireable.
Well, and part of our job is to remind moms that they need to ask for help. Like, a new mom is never going to do it. So, you know, you need a best friend like you to be like, let me hold the baby while you take a 5-minute shower.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we need to realize that those needs are there, because it's very hard as a new mom to ever admit defeat in any way, because it's just so crazy difficult. So, you know, something we constantly do in the live show and on the podcast is just, you know, tell moms that it's okay that it sucks sometimes. You know, it does. It just sucks sometimes, and it doesn't make you a bad mom for feeling like it's too hard.
Can I ask you one question just to piggyback off of that? Because the episode that I listened to, I was hoping that you would answer this question, but since I have you ladies here, how can we, as someone who's outside looking in, right? Like, I have a girlfriend who, she is overbooked. I mean, just exhausted. She happens to be the breadwinner in her marriage. She just had another kid. And when I go over there, like, I can see how exhausted and tired she is. How can I be a good resource to her? And what can I say to kind of encourage her to, sis, you need to put something down. Like, you know what I mean? Like, you can't juggle everything. Like, how can I be how would you advise anyone in a situation comparable to that to be a good resource to a friend?
I mean, I think first and foremost is just tell her that she's doing a good job. I think a lot of times women, we are so hard on ourselves and we take it so seriously, and we don't think that what we're doing or the decisions that we're making are the right ones. We question everything, and that's whether I think that's just human nature in general, whether you're a mom or not. But, you know, support and that village mentality is so helpful, to just say, you're doing great. And also, it's okay if you want to take a nap right now, and give them grace to realize that they don't have to just go. But we put a ton of pressure on ourselves, and it is hard to dismantle that, especially as a friend.
Well, and be specific, because like you never, like, if somebody says a compliment to you about being a mother, you don't forget it. And that's how infrequently it actually happens. So, you know, if you see her do something that she just like handled with patience and cool, and you were just like really impressed, say it out loud, because it's so hard to build that confidence. And I certainly, even now my daughter, my first kid is 10, I still can remember those very specific moments when somebody said that I was specifically doing well, or that I made a good decision, or that I handled a situation without losing my, you know?
Yeah.
I love that advice. And I think it goes for husbands as well, because my wife is a fantastic mother, but I think just constantly saying that, I think I should probably say it more. So I appreciate the words of advice, and you know.
You're welcome for that, alley-oop. You're welcome.
So you know, and the other thing, obviously, our show is all about podcast discovery and finding out what people are listening to, and we love getting recommendations. What are you ladies listening to when you turn on podcasts?
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Well, we look for some inspiration, especially in this rough time. So we listen to a lot of woo-woo stuff.
Yeah, a lot of spiritual podcasts. I would say I love the girls at Almost 30. I think they're killing it, and they always just have, I wish I was that pulled together at their age, when I was their age, like a couple years ago. And
Just 1 year ago. Just 1 year ago.
Magnetic.
yeah.
You mean when you
Phillips
get
to
to
be
that
magnetic.
age?
Yeah.
Yeah, we listen to Lacey Phillips to be magnetic, because we've gone through her program, which is really interesting and cool, and she's great, and she just had a baby.
Mm-hmm.
I listen to sometimes when I just want some fun, I listen to the Astro Twins for like astrology stuff.
But I would say, you know, in terms of other moms, we love Off the Gram.
Mhm.
That's 4 women out of New York, all totally different. One of whom isn't even a mom, and they just all bring their own unique identities to a big round table, and they're just so open and such go-getters and inspirational and high energy, and we love them so much. Plus Size or Plus Mom is really good. Our friend Jen McClellan has a great podcast. She really focuses on like plus size birth, but she's just so inspirational and positive, and she's been a great friend forever. I'm trying to think what else we listen to.
You know what would be a
Why
good
Mommy
one?
Drinks.
Yeah.
Can I recommend one? Dropping
Yes.
Gems with Debbie Brown. She's a mom, and she's also into the woo-woo. Because I listen to your episodes, I know exactly what you're talking about. Like, she's like crystals and healing energy, and you know, and she's the chief impact officer of Chopra, so she brings in like not necessarily like, you know, there's a spiritual element, but just like, you know, self-preservation more. Yeah, but yeah, I think you ladies would like that. I think you would.
I'm
For
all
sure.
for it, man. I mean, one thing we realized, and this is another thing that if I could go back and tell my new mom self, is to take care of yourself. And that's something that we're now 10 years into being parents have really realized that it does have an effect. We actually hate the term self-care, and wish that everyone would stop hashtagging that when they're getting pedicures and have to put it on the gram. But we're very big fans of self-preservation, and it really is important to just get in the bath and take a bath, or go work out, or take a walk, or just take care of yourself. And we didn't do it for so many years, especially when we were on the road touring on top of it. We just go, and just didn't allow ourselves time to have a break. And it really affects you, because a happy mom is just a better mom. So if you've got to buy crystals to help you do that, and light some sage and do some Reiki, God bless you, go for it. It all comes back to your family in the end, and everyone's happier if mom's happy. That is
Amen. Can we get an amen? Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, ladies, honestly, for joining us. You know, you can check out their podcast, Band of Mothers, on the Odyssey app, and we recommend it. I love the episode. I think you loved a couple of the episodes you listened to.
Mama Jason's, you ladies will definitely love it too.
Absolutely.
Takes a village.
I love it.
Don't go anywhere, guys. This is Podsauce. Thank you both so much.
Thank you.
Podsauce Host Picks, brought to you by Macy's.
Dax, it's your turn. Your turn at bat. Time for Dax's picks. You ready?
I'm ready. I'm coming in with some strong ones this week.
I'm here for it.
So my first podcast is This Is Uncomfortable.
Okay.
And it's all about a podcast about life and money, and how money messes with life.
Writing it down.
I got you on the beginning. No, so there's a specific episode I want you to check out, okay? And it's called A Lifelong Scam. That's the name of the episode. And it's about this woman and her family and how when she was younger, someone came and basically stole their identity and for years screwed up all their credit.
A family friend?
That's the thing. So this woman who's being interviewed on this episode, she spent 20 years of her life trying to track down the person that screwed up her whole childhood because when she was young, I guess they lived in a small town and it was just her mom, her dad, and her. And they basically, the person stole her parents' identity, maxed out all their credit cards, and it turned the family into like hermits. They were afraid to go out. They thought that, you know, someone in town is trying to mess with them. So the town was essentially against them. And she's like, it screwed up my whole childhood. And she said, and then I go to college and I think I'm getting away from this. Come to find out, her identity was also stolen and her cards were maxed out and owed all this debt. So she couldn't ever get away from it. She's like, I just want to find out why this person did this to us. And it goes through, and at the end, she finds out and tells the relationship that she had with this person and how they knew. Like, it is a fascinating episode.
I mean, how did they legally burrow themselves into these people's lives with their credit and no repercussions? Like,
Well,
just at least tell me, were there repercussions? Like, did they go to jail? Like, was there?
You're gonna have to listen.
Oh, dang.
But it was just, you know, you realize, number one, how getting your identity stolen on such a big level like that will mess up everything. And just this woman talking about how, like, they were afraid to leave their house. They were afraid someone would show up to be like, hey, I'm the plumber, and she chased him down with a butcher knife because she's like, is this person coming to steal more from us?
And it's so intrusive, right? Like, that's your identity. That's who you are.
Yeah, and imagine, the girl was like 16 when they stole her identity.
No
like,
car.
That's your, she goes to get an apartment, and they're like, your credit score is 380. And she's like, what? Like, that doesn't even make any sense. I've never done anything.
Yeah, I'm definitely going to have to listen to that episode because I'm super curious as to, like, so, like, was she able to get identity cards, like, you know, identification cards? Like, you got credit lines opened up in these people's names that you're passing off as your own. Like, some things you need, like, a birth certificate for. Like, how crafty does one have to get to, like, steal your identity?
It was.
That's identity theft on steroids.
Yeah, and it's, you know, it's kind of a true crime thing, which I know you like. So that's why I wanted to recommend that to you. My second podcast I want to talk about is A Kid's Book About, the podcast. Does that one sound familiar?
A kid's book about, don't tell me. No, I don't have
Kevin
kids yet.
Carroll, our guest
from
before, recommended it.
Yes!
So I was like, oh, I'm going to take his recommendation.
Good,
I felt like he had such positive vibes. And so I was like, let me check it out.
I knew you would really love him.
And
he has such a beautiful energy.
And this one is more, I would say, for parents out there, but I wanted to obviously bring you in on it. But it's a podcast where they bring in authors about books for children that have really important topics. So let's say like racism, body image, sexual assault, like all these topics that you need to talk to your kids about, but you don't, as a parent, know how to broach the subject. And so they bring it in, and it's a teacher who's doing the podcast. He's the one talking, and he brings in these people that know how to talk to children about it. And that's what I think is the best part. So you can have your kid listen to the podcast with you. Not only that, they bring children on to ask questions, to answer questions, to give perspectives. So more than anything, this podcast opens up dialogue on topics that you need to talk to your children about.
Oh, that's good, Dax. I mean, like you said, I'm not a parent yet, but I'm parent adjacent. I'm a godparent. I have like 3 I don't know why people keep wanting to shovel their children off on me, but nevertheless, I do have 3. I'm very curious. I'll definitely check that one out.
And you know, I think you also have to go into it knowing that it's geared toward children. So the way they're speaking
it's lighter.
It's lighter, and it's to keep children engaged. Exactly. So you can't go into being like, oh, this is what you're used to hearing. It's put it on with your child, let them listen, let them ask you questions, and give them answers.
What is, a book about? Is the name
it's
of
called
the podcast?
A Kid's Book About the Podcast.
About the podcast. I'm definitely going to check that out. Guys, you can hear more on you. Oh, always find a way to outshine me. Grief! Take a day off. You guys can listen to and find out more info on Dax's picks on Podsauce.com.
Welcome back to Podsauce. I am so excited, mostly because Alesha is so freaked out by our next guest. We got Trevor Shand here from the Boo Crew podcast, which is all about creepy movies.
I'm not here for it.
Come on, get with it.
Yo, Trevor, mind you, like, I'm from the South. Like, I hug, I dab. I haven't given Trevor any energy.
It's true.
I'm
She's
looking
not
at his
lying.
earring.
When he walked up here, I gave him a handshake,
Yeah.
and she was like, "Hi."
Yeah. I don't even know if she
touch
said hi,
Dax
actually,
now.
really.
I feel like there's an apparition gonna jump from you to him. Like, hi, Trevor.
Hey, nice to meet you.
Odyssey family. Thank you
Right?
for taking some time
Hey,
out.
no problem. Thanks for having me.
Man, listen. So, first things first. What?
First things first, Alesha wore a cross today.
Yeah,
for
I
you
noticed
coming
that.
in.
I did notice that.
Just in case it starts
Subtle.
getting real weird, I'm warding it off. You know what's funny? I wasn't always this way. Okay, so don't bring your judgment over here. I saw it in your eye. I'm curious to know if you really know this. Rawhead Rex. Do you remember that movie?
I do remember it, yes.
Mad, dusty, old.
Yeah.
But that was one of my first experiences.
That's quite the first experience, too.
For sure. Bram Stoker's Dracula was the one that kept me up at night, though. Wow. What was the first horror film that kept you up at night? Because for me, it was Bram Stoker's Dracula. I wasn't even bothered by Rawhead Rex.
Sure.
We watched it so much. My mother and my dad burned the VHS. A VHS, kids, is the format that we used to watch movies on before. What was it for you?
Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3.
Really?
Yeah, very first exposure to Freddy Krueger in that whole world, because he is really the perfect villain. You cannot escape Freddy Krueger. Everybody's got to sleep, right?
I think
and as a kid, you know, anything's possible in your dreams, so that freaked me out. And that was really the first one I
But
saw.
that third one right there, though, wasn't that the one where they all had special
Superpowers and they fight against him. I think that was the only reason that I could actually deal with it, right? Right? Yeah.
But here's the thing, that particular one is the one that actually made it possible for me to get through some horror films, because that one was hilarious.
Sure, yeah.
Which I'm going to bring it back to the recent episode that you guys talked to the creator of Saw.
Yes.
Because, about bringing the elements of comedy in, because I know it's Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah, and Chris Rock.
Chris Rock in
Yeah.
it. Because when Freddie said, Lego this, Lego my ego, or karate chop this, bitch, I hollered. I was like, is Freddie getting with the 1-2 snap?
Yeah, he's funny.
So I do think that there is something to say about bringing the element of comedy
For sure.
into horror so that you can
Well,
make
your
it more
adrenaline's already
palatable.
going up, and you add that element of funny, it's just complimentary.
It also just makes it more palatable for the scaredy
Yeah.
cats like me.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's, again, that comedy tempered my gateway experience into it. And that I leaned towards that when I got into it. Films like Evil Dead, Evil Dead 2, Army of Darkness, things like that. When you add that element of comedy, it goes down a little easier. But then after a while, you crave some of that darker stuff. At least I did anyway.
You crave.
Anything that
We're
made
not
me
a part of that.
like,
No,
the
Trevor.
fact that I could see a movie in like Elm Street 3 and I couldn't get it out of my head.
Yeah.
And there wasn't anything I'd really seen before that, a comedy film or something like that. The effects wore off after a while, but stuff like that just lived inside of me. And when you're sitting in in your room at night and you got to get up and go to the bathroom and everything's
All
dark.
right, Trevor, we're done.
Stuff replays in your head, though, right?
We were laughing so hard this morning because we were both checked out your podcast,
Yeah.
and we were going through the titles to figure out which one's going to catch my attention.
Sure.
And everyone, we were both like, nope, no demons, no spirits, nope. I was like, Darren, director. Oh,
Sounds like a nice guy.
I know Saw, because Saw was one of those movies that I watched the first maybe 4. And then I realized, why am I doing this to myself? Why am I actively freaked out and my heart feels like it's gonna escape my body? I'm like, I gotta be done with this. And so Saw was kind of the Saw franchise was kind of my last big movies, and I was like, I can't do this to myself anymore. I don't know how you put yourself through these movies, because they freak me out.
What is it for? Is it the suspense? Because it is funny that Dax said that, because we died laughing because we both were like, that's the one I listened to too. But it was such a beautiful episode to check out. And
thank you.
Dead at, for real. For real, we'll edit that out. But just because when you listen, when you guys were talking about all the different elements of, you know, the resounding theme at the end of Saw, right? Because we all have
Family
had those,
first, right?
Yeah, family
that's right.
first, but also, like, does the dirty bird ever get their day? Because it seems like karma is just hitting snooze button when bad people are out here doing their tomfoolery.
Right.
But you have someone, I think it was the director was speaking about, like, they had a family member who had cancer, and they were going
Yeah,
through
that's right. Yeah.
Both his parents, wasn't
Darren
it?
BOUSMAN, yeah, had a parent with cancer. Yeah, so he was going through the first one. Yeah. What I find that horror really does a good job at is reflecting things like social issues and doing it through a lens that makes helps you meditate on it even that more, because it's a visceral experience and you're reacting to the things on screen. And again, because it's living in your head over and over again by the attack that it delivers the message. You really walk away with it, at least I do, with just a higher appreciation for whatever you know, like Dawn of the Dead was all about consumerism, for instance, or, you know what I mean? There's so many things layered in all these, you know, Jennifer's Body, for instance, one of my favorites, was one of the earliest purveyors of kind of like the Me Too movement. And it's just a really powerful way of expressing those themes through this lens.
But, so what podcast do you listen to bring you into a happy place? Because I know Spooked gets you spooked, but is that the name of it? Spooked? Did I say that
Spooked,
right?
yeah, that's right. I mean, as I said, I have a passion for collecting things from movies and TV shows that I love. So there's a prop podcast that I like called Prop History.
And are they just talking about what they're finding or what's available, or
That's
what?
part of it. A lot of the things, they'll spend episodes just talking about, like 1982's John Carpenter's The Thing, which had a lot of practical effects, and it was kind of the birthplace of a lot of what they're doing in modern horror films by making things look grotesque and real. And they just will have guests on from some of these things, or places that sell or that go and hunt for remnants of film and TV and put them in auctions. And I love listening to that, because really that's probably my biggest hobby. I'm obsessed with that.
I really like the prop thing and like behind the scenes of movies. So when you were talking to Darren the other day on the podcast, I liked him revealing the wall behind, like, oh, when we were doing a Spiral, that it was forced perspective, and that them being inside the subway tunnel
The illusion
wasn't
of creating
really
that.
a subway tunnel, and it was actually, if you step back 3 feet, he would have hit the wall. Like, that stuff to me
That
is
movie
so
magic stuff is
fascinating.
And the ability, when you are able to hold a screen use prop, and sometimes you'll see the trick, the illusion, like right now there's an auction coming up and they're selling a pair of Hugh Jackman Wolverine claws. Right? And you see the trick behind him, and it's so simple. Basically, these claws that look like they're coming out of his knuckles, all he's doing is holding a pad. They're attached to this pad, and when he's palming the claws like that, it looks like they're in his skin, but they're literally just a handle that he's holding in each thing. It's not even put on digitally. It's a great old school, you know, sleight of hand magic trick, and it's just awesome.
What did you say what name of that podcast was?
Prop History.
Prop History.
Yeah.
It's so funny, because I do think that that's where you and I finally have found our sweet spot, Trevor. It's just the imagination of horror, because they do have to dig a little deep, because like you said, the budget isn't there. And I think probably too, that's what adds to the heightened sensationalism of it all, because the viewer adds their imagination. We go a little deeper. Well, could that actually happen? Is that real? Because of movie magic, it creates the atmosphere that can happen.
And that's what we've actually built, kind of when we started the podcast. The whole idea was to build it into an experience, because, you know, obviously this past year we haven't had, you know, any impersonal guests, right? But when we started, we had people coming over to the house, and we would get a guest, book a guest, see who we shoot for the moon. One of our first guests was Danny Elfman.
Whoa.
We still don't know. A composer, right? You know, huge. Oingo Boingo was the band that kind of changed music for forever.
Did I say that right?
Yeah, Oingo Boingo, yeah. And he went on and, you know, created the music for, I mean, Nightmare Before Christmas and countless. So this is probably one of the most.
You're getting Megan Fox on your podcast.
Right.
Doing pretty well.
He's a composer?
So yeah, composer. So we had him come to the house, and it's funny because, you know, we don't tell anybody it's at a house. They just show up at this address.
And is it your
Is it
house?
your
And it's
house?
my house, and they get a little freaked out, you know, when they get into where I'm at a house. Open the door, and it was kind of like a psychological experiment to see who we could get over, and then watch their faces as they see all
Do
this
you videotape
stuff.
that process?
We haven't
Have
started
to.
doing it. We
You
just
have
got
to.
a
Yeah.
TV show during the pandemic, and it's all
good
been
for
through
you.
Zoom, though.
Yeah,
It's all been through
dope.
Zoom. We haven't had the opportunity to film anyone actually going through the thing. And then the studio itself, we got a panic room company to help us build the studio, and they basically took a wall, and we burrowed a hole through the wall, and they built this electromagnetic bookcase that's triggered by a book, and it's got a piece of mercury inside, and when the mercury tilts, so when you tilt the book, it triggers all these electromagnets, and the bookcase opens, and you are in this
Yo, that's
Victorian era
freaky.
recording
Okay.
studio.
Dope.
The-
For the culture, I
now
gotta
I want to come over and
Yeah,
see.
You gotta
culture,
come.
I
Please,
gotta come.
please come.
I'm
Yeah.
like trapdoors. You got
Right,
me.
yeah,
Here
trap
for it.
doors. So
I'm
I've
in.
always dreamed about doing that. So the whole thing was just kind of like an extension of that dream. So we've really kind of built the house and the studio and the podcast as it just kind of, God, to really dive into the spirit of imagination
Oh my
and dreaming. And I love being around that stuff. It's inspiring.
Tell the wife I'm coming over.
Please
I'm
do.
bringing,
Seriously,
I'm
we
bringing
love-
the sage. Me and Dax, we're coming. I am bringing sage, just in case.
I'll tell you, as dark as it gets, the very first screen use prop that we got was the notebook from the movie The Notebook. So
Oh.
it goes that way
you
as well.
set the
It goes
atmosphere,
that
and
way
then
as
you
well.
hit 'em
yeah,
with the-
yeah.
You have the actual notebook? from-
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
Can I
cool.
have it? You're already married. I need to bring that I need to bring that love into into my
an
home.
amazing prop to have.
It is
That's
really,
very
really cool. Yeah, recently we just got one of Ryan Gosling's main costumes from that movie as well,
Yeah.
screen matched, and we're stoked to have
Okay, we're
that as
coming
part of
over.
the
Let's
collection.
go have
yeah.
lunch at your house.
So it's not just horror, you know, it's just there's a big component of it for
So
sure.
we'll start with the horror, just so I can get the sour,
yeah.
and then I want to end.
We'll get as
on a
sweet as
happy
it
note.
gets. The
That's
notebook.
it.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
that's as sweet as it gets. The pit stop, you say. Cool.
Man, Trevor, your life is fascinating. I'm telling you, we're coming over.
Please
Whether
do.
you're inviting us
Yeah.
or not, we're coming over to check out
Please
the studio, the
do.
trapdoor, the notebook, the whole thing. For people that want to check out your podcast, the Boo Crew podcast, it is on the Odyssey app
Yes,
or
it
wherever you
is.
find
He
your
is Odyssey
podcast.
family.
He is Odyssey family, straight Odyssey family. So
This has been the longest interview that we've had, as
Oh,
you can
that's-
tell. And to say that I was saging the atmosphere before you even got in here, but I'm enthralled. I
That's
mean, you are a
awesome.
phenomenal talent. I mean,
Hey.
I'm just like, yes.
Thank
Trevor.
you. And
You
just-
better sell that horror.
to let you know too,
Sell it.
I started another podcast that's coming out. We just got put on a network as well called The Bleeders Digest, and that is bringing original horror stories to life. So that's been a new project. So using theater of the mind and really getting your imagination into it.
audibly?
Audibly.
Dope.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's cool.
I won't be checking that out.
But we wish you a lot of
Pretty
luck on
intense,
it.
exactly.
Sending it to you. You and that demon on your
Right,
right. Thank you, Trevor.
Hey, thank you.
You guys don't go anywhere. This is Podsauce.
That was a fun show today. I genuinely enjoyed today.
It was a great show. And for those of you who are wondering, I did end up giving Trevor a goodbye hug. I am going to douse myself
Yep.
with holy water when I get to
And
the
get that
crib.
little demon off your
Don't
shoulder.
You dare. Almost karate chopped you. How dare you put that energy over here. Close us out, Dax. What are our handles?
Oh, guys, so if there's any of the podcasts that we talked about today that you are interested in checking out, we're going to throw them up on the screen,
I'm Vanna Blacking.
give you some more information. You can also head on over to podsauce.com. We'll have the links right there, and we'll have Alesha's picks, my picks. Everything is on the website, and you can obviously find the podcast version of this on the Odyssey app.
Holler at us on at the Podsauce. I am at Alesha Renee.
And I'm at Dax Holt.
And you are the real Dax Holt.
I am the real Dax Holt, so I actually got my name.
I did not. That's why I had to let you know. I am Alesha Renee. Thank you guys so much. This is Podsauce. Be good to yourselves.